Richards trying to scoot in there alone. It pinballs to the crease. Score!
Let's get it.
Oh my God! Here we go.
You're listening to the Street Bullies podcast with your hosts, Derek.
How you gonna get it, Bobby?
John. Matt Casey.
Unnecessary, but totally necessary.
And Cody.
What's not to love?
What's happening, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Street Bullies. And real quick, I just want to introduce you to our biggest fan here. This is my mother.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, guys.
How's it going?
John and Hoagie.
It's going good. It's vacation.
There you go.
Cheers to that. I'm on it as well.
Everybody's on
Sorry.
vacation. Yeah. I just wanted to pull her in real quick. I told her I was going to bring her on, but she's like, I'm in my PJs. I'm like, relax, Mom. It's a Sunday night. Whatever.
Hoagie's not wearing any pants, so.
Yeah, none of us wear pants when we do this anyway.
I didn't need to know that.
Have a nice night, Mom. I'll see you soon.
Yeah.
Oh.
Love you, Mom.
Love you too.
All right. Well,
Precious,
back with
that
our
one.
regular scheduled programming. I am Derek.
I'm John. What's going on, everybody?
And we are Matt Casey-less tonight, but we still have Hoagie.
Casey's
going on?
Casey's main line and my ties with his beach volleyball crew.
Yeah. His quote to us in the group chat about 5 minutes ago was, "For the record, I am tanked." So,
Yeah.
like, none of us aren't on here every now and then. Whatever. We got a lot to talk about, though. A lot of developments. Draft day was on Thursday night. First round at least, and the Flyers made a pretty big splash on a few different levels here. So we're going to get into that actually right away, unless John here has a story he'd like to share.
No, I want to dive into all this muck.
Thank God. All right. Well, Tony DeAngelo is a Flyer. Who'da thunk it? A lot to unpack here, and I mean, we're just going to get into it. There's a couple aspects of this deal that we want to look at. First and foremost, though, we want to look at person versus player. For those of you listening, I'm pretty certain you know the type of person Tony DeAngelo is perceived to be. I will say perceived to be because I don't know him personally, but
Right.
we also know the type of player that he is. Very good offensive defenseman. Was up like plus 30 last year, 60 or so points with Carolina. You know, great addition to the blue line in terms of production. But John, if we're going to get into this, and I'm not even going to ask any type of pointed question here, just, give me your thoughts on this on the surface here.
Well, I think you kind of said it, right? You need to take the person and remove him from the player and kind of tackle them separately. So if I'm just thinking about the player, great addition. We need offense. I don't give a damn where it's coming from, and this is a player that's going to provide offense. Now, some people are like, well, what about Shane Gostisbehere? He's essentially Shane Gostisbehere. No, he's not. He is a far better version of Shane Gostisbehere.
Didn't we say that about Eric Gustafson, though?
Stop it.
Don't you dare.
Did we not bring this up
This
yet?
is a very different.
Is it?
Yes, I do.
It is.
I think that although his defense has holes, I don't think it's as bad as the people who, want this to be a terrible trade are making this to be. Also, for all the analytics people, if you look at his Corsi numbers, which I kind of get, it's like 60% his Corsi 4 percentage or whatever the heck it is, which means that the team's
good?
Yeah, apparently. It means
Pretty good for Corsi.
it means that the team is possessing the puck more often when he's on the ice.
That's good,
Well,
right?
that's what the Flyers need.
Yeah.
I do question whether or not he's a legitimate top pairing guy. But as long as he's a good partner for Provorov, then I'm hoping the rest will iron itself out.
He's gonna have to be. At least according, I don't know if you guys listened to Stick to Hockey with Martitas. He had Anthony Sanfilippo on, and they essentially alluded to such
Hoagie's
a case. Hoagie's buddy.
Clueless clown.
Anyways, we they essentially alluded to as much, saying that, you know, for lack of a better term, Ellis is out for the rest of the season. I shouldn't even say out. He's not even going to be part of this season. Might not even return, but different discussion. We're going to have that another time.
Yep.
Tony DeAngelo, though, on the surface, Hoagie, the move itself.
I like it. I mean, obviously he's had the issues in the past. He went to Carolina this past year, and it seems like he ironed out those issues and became the hockey player that everybody thought he could be. We need someone like this. We were hoping for it to be an Eric Gustafson or somebody like that. Like that fell through. Like, I mean, the Gossesbear scenario, it's like, leave that alone. Like, no one wanted Ghost. We didn't want him on the team. We waived him. We did everything we could to get rid of him, and nobody wanted him. We wanted Tony DeAngelo. I know people were mad about, you know, we could have signed him last offseason for a year, million deal, whatever, but he went to Carolina and proved that he belongs in the league. So I'm pumped. I think this definitely tells a story of where our defensive core is headed in terms of Ryan Ellis and that scenario. But I think, you know, he'll help shore up some offensive capability. I'm kind of psyched to see him on hopefully one of the power plays, because he can quarterback and Provorov's not that guy. So I'm hoping DeAngelo can come in and really help us out on the power play.
Yeah. They did. I mean, let's be honest. You know, they gave up a good bit to get him between the second, the third, and the fourth. Now, the third and the fourth are in 2024, if I'm not mistaken. So
the third is in 2023. The
third's in 2023,
and the second round is in 2024.
We also had 3 third-round picks in 2023.
Yeah.
Right.
So, end of the day, like, I'm not too upset about that because, I mean, whatever. But let's talk a little bit about the person, Tony DeAngelo. You know, I've seen, and this is the main argument that I'm starting to see on Twitter and have seen over the past couple days now that he's a Flyer. A lot of people are saying, you know, oh, like, Tony's paid his dues, he's matured, he's gotten this, that, yada, yada, yada. A lot of people are kind of rebutting that and saying, well, how did he pay his dues? Like, what's he done? He was a total POS here. But, like, and you guys obviously know the answer to this, but, you know, we know what happened in New York. Him and Gorgiev got into it, and then he went to Carolina. But was there something that I missed that he did in Carolina, like, to the same capacity as to what he did in New York? Like, or
no, I don't know.
No.
I'm pretty sure a clean bill. Like, I don't think there were any issues in Carolina.
Well, didn't he take
I didn't think so either.
Well, he played 6 games with the Rangers, and then he didn't play at all the rest of the season.
Right. Yeah. So pretty much took a year off. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, but the thing is, I mean, a lot of people are going to point to that and say, "Oh, he's a piece of crap," you know, da 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 da. But there were no conflicts. There were no issues with Carolina. And yes, it's only 1 year. That doesn't erase him, you know, being a bad person. But, like, is it not a step in the right direction? Are we such, like, animals that we can't look at this and say people can get better? People can not necessarily change, but, like, you know, not be as bad as they used to be.
I went into a rabbit hole with kind of his past issues because, you know, you kind of read what other people say in comments, and it's like, you don't know how much truth is to their reaction, right?
Sure.
I mean, people kind of like latch on to one thing, and that is their right to do so, but you don't really get the full picture. And what I got was a hothead. I got somebody who cannot control himself in competition. You know, every incident that he's had.
Didn't people say that about some of the greats, though? Think about a hothead, like a Chris Pronger. Pronger was a hothead.
Right. But, like, did it negatively affect his relationship with his teammates?
No.
Like, and that seems to be what happened with Tony DeAngelo. Listen, in junior, he crossed the line using words that I don't know what words they were, but apparently they were, you know,
choice words.
Yeah, right. Offensive words, unforgivable words. But it seems like it was also because he was responding to something he couldn't control because of his hot-headedness, not giving it an excuse. You shouldn't use those words, but to me, that's his issue. It's not being, hating a certain group of people. It's that he needs to be able to control his emotions.
Yeah.
You could argue like heat of the moment type stuff. Like it doesn't matter the type of person you are. A lot of people in the heat of the moment are going to react differently than if they took a step back and thought about it for a second.
Right.
In most cases, though, Tony DeAngelo doesn't do that. He doesn't have a choice. I shouldn't say he doesn't have a choice. Hockey players in general in the heat of the moment, like you don't have the luxury of taking a step back before you act, because you're playing a game and you need to make split-second decisions. Now, when you shoot your mouth off, you're to be held responsible for what you say. I 100% agree with that, and it doesn't, again, excuse him from it. But, hey, beat the shit out of him once or twice for saying something stupid. Let him learn. Like, okay, if it has to happen under a Flyers uniform, so be it,
Well, but I think it happened under a Hurricanes uniform. I think Brendamore was able to, find the underlying issue and hold him accountable, make them have expectations, and he seemed to meet them. And I think Tortorella is a very similar coach.
I was just about to ask if we think that Tortorella is going to be the type of guy that can do that.
Right.
What do you think, Hoagie?
We've talked about Tortorella being that type of guy ever since we hired him as head coach, of holding guys accountable. And I think he'll just fit that mold with Tony DeAngelo. I'm sure he'll have a sit-down meeting before they even hit the ice. Be like, yo, I know the past. And it'll probably be similar to what Brindamore did to him as well. I know the past. Let's put it behind you. Let's play some hockey and get it under control. Listen, stuff like that, it happens all the time. It's because it's a hockey player and he's well known. That's why we hear about it.
Right,
it happens every day. Right. I mean, I'm waiting for John to grow up every once in a while. He called me a chode an hour and a half ago. Like, heat of the moment type of stuff. Like, come on.
Oh, no, that was well thought out.
I know it was.
A lot of things John says, they are pretty calculated. I'll give him that.
But
what? Oh, keep going, Hoagie. Sorry.
I don't know. I just be excited for the guy that, he is. Like, it's kind of a second chance for him. I mean, even for the Flyers, it's not really a second chance. Like, he's had the second chance in Carolina, but I think he's able to extend that chance to be a player that is on the right.
He did a good job of coming back and responding to how things were when those reports came out.
Yep.
He reacted positively to them. And so, don't get me wrong, like I've got my reservations about it because, on the surface, what he did, what he said, I don't agree with. I don't think anybody does.
We also don't know what he said.
Right.
Or
correct.
did.
Yeah.
All we can conclude is from people saying, he's a racist piece of crap. He's a jerk. He's a terrible person. A lot of this, and again, not to really get down that rabbit hole, but a lot of it kind of centers around his political views. But
it's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah. Let's be honest. How many hockey players have those, though? Like the same ones?
Well, see, that's the thing. That's the thing, right? You want to hate this guy because of the decisions that he made in junior. That's your right. Be my guest. I totally get it, especially somebody, who is in a different, that has a different skin color or is a different position than me. I totally understand why that might be unforgivable to you, and I think you have every right to hate the guy.
Absolutely.
You don't like that he's a hothead and you think it's a risk that this team shouldn't take. Totally get it. That's your right. But if it's strictly based off of this dude's political views not lining up with yours,
grow up.
Sorry. Right. I personally think that politics shouldn't be in your face no matter what side you're on. Derek and I have known each other pretty closely for 4 years. We might have an idea of where each of us are politically, but we don't openly talk about our politics with one another.
No. And if we do, though, there's enough general understanding between us that, like, I could be far one side, John's far the other side. It doesn't matter.
Right. And if
we're getting into the kumbaya stuff, but
the thing is the people who criticize somebody else's politics are typically the ones that are shoving their politics down your
somebody
throat.
else's. Yeah. Yep.
And it's those people who are up in arms that I'm just like, well, you're just a bunch of morons. I just don't have any time for that.
You know,
Yeah, again.
it's the people that are canceling season ticket packages over
They're just a bunch
player.
of morons.
I'm like,
they're not doing that.
Mhm.
Like,
And
grow up.
let me see you still hate him when he's putting up 60 points for the Flyers.
Right.
I can
Who's the
understand
last
it.
defenseman that put up 60 points?
Ghost.
Gosper.
Yeah. There you go. We haven't had one since what season was that?
Yeah, what 2017 or 2016, something like that.
Yeah.
I can to kind of further this, like I can understand if it's an individual that is doing this as a show of solidarity for a friend, a family member, someone close to them, that is, of a different ethnicity that doesn't like this. Like I understand that.
Right.
And I support that as well. I think that, you should stick up for your friends and you should stick up for the people that you care about and you love, that are,
Sure.
that feel a certain way about this. Now, again, much to John's point, and I'm in very much agreement with this, if it's because of political views, just grow up. We all have different political views. And that's that.
Right. And that's okay.
It is. It's perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. But if we're not, I mean, let's stay away from this real quick here. Let's get into his fit with the Flyers in terms of where we're going to see him in the lineup. We alluded to it again on the Stick to Hockey podcast. Mertitas and Sanfilippo were talking about how Ellis likely won't be back this year. Is he our top pairing guy with Provorov now?
Has to be.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one thing, and I think this is a bigger conversation that we could talk about for a different time. But like one of the things that confuses me about Chuck is I have a hard time sometimes with like the rhyme or reason to some of his moves, because DeAngelo to me seems like somebody you would slot into Ristolainen's spot.
Right.
You know what I mean? He seems like a far better second pair defenseman. But obviously he's not going to play on that second pair unless he thinks Ristolainen is going to be on the top pair, which I'm not assuming. I think they're like the Sanheim Ristolainen pair. But you're also not paying him $5 million a year to be on your third pair.
Of course. I think you're in a good spot with this. Like, I think that you've got two guys in DeAngelo and Ristolainen, right-handed shots, guys that can play top minutes, guys that can play second pairing minutes. Both of them can. So, I mean, why not just give it a whirl? See how Risto plays, see how DeAngelo plays, and then whoever gels with Provorov the most, keep him there.
That's the important part. I think you need to and I'm sorry, Hoagie, that I'm taking up your space here, man. I'm going to let you talk and I'm just shut up. But I think
don't know how to.
You're right. I don't. But I think that's the way you have to look at it. Take away this top pairing, second pairing mentality. Who is going to gel best with Provorov? If Provorov has a partner that's going to make him turn things around, I don't care what they call it. It could be, 5.6 pair.
Meanwhile, Sanheim just gets the scraps. How does he feel?
I know.
No one ever talks about Travis Sanheim's feelings.
You're right.
He's a baby.
All right, Hoagie, elaborate, man. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I don't see him getting slotted in with Risto. I know a lot of people are not big on two players having $10 million on your second pairing. I get that. Like, that's a lot of money, short up in your second pair. I hope he's on the first pair with Provi, and I hope that they do well. I'm a little hesitant because they both like to turn on the jets and play offensively. I'm just a little scared because, I still want a stay-at-home defenseman that can still lock it down on your first pair. So I like the two of them together. I just hope we don't fall into a thing where it's just they're both up in the play and we're back checking with nobody back there. So I really hope we all know he's going to be on the power play. I'm excited for the power play. I'm a little hesitant because we don't really have a power play coach as of right now, right? We still haven't really found somebody for that, but if we find somebody that's good and can really make the power play creative, I think Tony DeAngelo is going to really make it a fun power play to watch.
We all thought Gustafson was going to be that guy too because of his offensive prowess. I think. Well, no, and I'm not saying this as like a counterpoint. Let's be honest. Like, I just think Tony DeAngelo is going to be a much more effective defenseman, even outside of the power play. So you're going to get more bang for your buck with DeAngelo because, sure, while he's not the greatest defensive defenseman, like he's better than what Gustafson was. Gustafson was a glorified forward,
We also have a coach, who preaches team defense and accountability in that area, so
absolutely.
You have to factor in all of those things.
Yeah. So I think it's safe to say, like, absolutely second pairing, maybe first pairing.
I would say absolutely first pair. I'm willing to put a lot of money on that. I can't even see Ristolainen pairing with Provorov.
Are you willing to put $5 million on it? Because that's what he's getting paid for the next 2 years. Each year, I should say.
Yeah.
I mean, are we happy about the figure here? I guess what type of position does this put the Flyers in? I'm going to start with Hoagie so he can get his thoughts in here before John monopolizes the time.
I'm fine with the price tag. Like $5 million is not terrible. It's not great either, but I mean, I think a lot of people were hoping Risto would be on his way out, but instead they decided to just really give him a payday as well. But I mean, I like the price tag. I wasn't a huge fan of the trade price tag. I thought that was a lot, but when everybody started breaking down the draft picks, it kind of made a little bit more sense because, like John said, we had 3 third-round picks in 2023. Like, third rounds, it's a hit or miss in that round. So, like, you don't know who you're getting. So I'm okay with just getting that third round. So price tag was a little high for the trade, but I think that the contract value, I think we're in a good spot. Even though I think we're what, right up against the cap now? Like we have no money anymore.
$100,000 or something like that.
I mean, you think about it in terms of like Ellis will likely be on long-term injured reserve. That's 6.25. If they can find a Farabee for a period in time, if you can find a way to unload JVR, that's an extra 7. So I mean, that puts you in the running for 13, 14 million. If they get rid of somebody else, maybe 16.
If you buy out JVR, that's a couple $100,000, right?
If you buy
a couple $100,000,
that's a couple million.
Is it a couple million?
What is that?
We get in the back end we get charged, right?
Yeah.
Next year we get charged.
We'd still be paying him, but it wouldn't be the $7 million a year,
right?
But at the same rate, that JVR is another discussion as well.
Well, we're going to talk about free agency, and I think he'll fit into that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, cost, okay. If that's the going rate, that's the going rate. What I say about it has nothing to do with how it actually unfolded, so who cares? $5 million a year, it is what it is. I think that to get a good player, you're going to have to pay good money, and $5 million is good money. So be it,
I think it's a little like if you just look at it in a vacuum, I'm fine with it. Attaching that Ristolainen money to it, it's a little bit more like, you're really paying this much money for these two players who I think are kind of in the same category for different reasons.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But like, whatever, it's not my money.
Yeah.
I mean,
not my money, not my problem.
These people will figure it out. If that's what they're going to pay Tony DeAngelo, whatever. Right.
I don't care. But yeah, I mean, if, do you guys want to make any more points in terms of DeAngelo, or do you think it's safe to say we can move on? We can talk about something else here quick.
Can I just talk about the draft picks that it cost to get DeAngelo quickly?
Sure.
I'm really okay with it. I know some people are up in arms because they feel like Chuck Fletcher is just, shitting away some of our draft capital. Yeah, I mean, if you look at the Ristolainen train, look at this. It's like he's willing to throw any sort of pick at it, and then you look at like the DeBrincat deal. It's like,
sure,
yeah.
And I get that, but at the same time, and I think it was Jason Rutitis who said it, if you look at like the percentages of of draft picks per round that make it to the NHL. It's like 60-something% in the first round.
Yeah.
20-something% in the second round. By the time you get to the third round, it's like 12%. Like we had a GM that hoarded draft picks, that held on to these things, and just it was all about drafting as many players as possible.
Yep.
And look what happened. Look how that turned out. It did not turn out the way he was hoping. We were all hoping. Yet you have to be willing to trade these. None of these were first round picks, right? I think the year that you got rid of this, we got rid of the second round pick. We have 2 firsts.
For the second round pick was for this year, I believe, or was it?
No, we didn't have a second round pick this year. I think it was this year's 4th round pick.
Then yeah,
it was the 101st overall.
Right.
There you go. Yep.
I'm pretty sure that the year we gave up the second round pick, we have 2 first round picks.
Yeah, we have or the third round pick, we have 3 of them or something like that.
Well, that's the other.
Yeah. Either way, we had a surplus.
It was clearly thought out where it's like, yeah, okay, on the surface, maybe this seems like a lot, but like there are things that kind of lighten the blow within our surplus in those drafts already, and you can always get those picks back if you really need them.
Yeah, there's ways to recoup them. You know, I'm not gonna sit here and fret about a pick that has a 12% chance of making the NHL when the guy you're getting is already in the NHL, and proven that he can play pretty well.
Right.
Yeah. Like that's what everybody was like hounding. Like we want people, we want to compete, but they're still complaining that we got a Tony DeAngelo.
It's because of the player.
Right. I know.
It's just because they don't like the player.
Yeah, it's just it's
any little thing they'll complain about. But I mean, at the end of the day, we traded a couple could be's into somebody that is in the NHL.
Exactly.
And I'm happy. Yep. I mean, I shouldn't say happy, but like I could feel worse about it.
I'm happy.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm happy. I could care less if that makes people want me to call for my resignation on Pod Street Bullies. Like I'm happy with it. I think he's going to do it.
It's just going to be Matt Casey, Hoagie, and I now. Oh boy,
that show will last.
Yeah, it'll be about a half-hour show every week. Trimming the fat, baby. No, but centered around the draft topic here. Obviously, we had the NHL Draft occur this past week, and Flyers made a couple picks, brought in a couple people. What are our thoughts in terms of the picks that we made, John, the draft expert of Pod Street Bullies here?
I wouldn't go that far, but I first of all, the first hour of the first round was just must-see TV. It was I was on the edge of my seat thinking, "Holy crap, we might end up with Shane Wright."
Yep.
It was just so many twists and turns. There was just enough dramatics right there.
Am I wrong to say that I was concerned that we would end up with Shane Wright?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I just after he started sliding, I'm thinking like these GMs know something that Chuck Fletcher doesn't, and we're screwed if he lands at 5.
He just doesn't have the flash that I think so. But I think also after Montreal went with Slafkovsky, it was like New Jersey just didn't need him. Right. And the defenseman made sense there. And I think Arizona just was all about Cooley from the get-go.
Sure. They knew he was going to end up there one way or the other, I'm sure.
Logan Cooley.
Oh, boy.
But in terms of like the Flyers picks, there was clearly a theme here. They wanted big bodies who are hard to play against. Yeah. And I'm all for that.
That's been the theme, I feel like. They've picked some pretty sizable forwards, defensemen in their drafts with Chuck Fletcher at the helm, haven't they?
I don't know.
Smaller.
Yeah, I feel like this one was a little bit more drastic. Like, I feel like every forward they talked about until the 7th round pick, Alexis Gendron, was like big-bodied and known for their physicality.
Right.
Even the defenseman they took, Hunter McDonald, is like 9 feet tall and just known for being a big body.
We got to replace Morin somehow. I mean, so there you go.
I'm trying to replace Chris Pronger for the last 12 years.
Yeah.
But, I mean, and Hoagie, I want to let you talk here, but I obviously have a lot of thoughts. on this particular.
Get it out of here.
Yeah.
right.
Go ahead.
I'm excited for Cutter. One, because it's a badass name. 2, he goes to, what is it, Boston College, right?
Yep.
I'm gonna be trying to catch some games as much as I can because I'm right there.
Of these guys,
you're close.
With Devin Kaplan, he's at Boston University. I'm definitely gonna try to catch as many games as I can this upcoming season.
What's that? The Bean Pot?
The Bean Pot's in like March. There's Boston College, Boston University.
Well, Northeastern, Hunter McDonald's going there.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Dude, you can catch 50-60% of the draft picks just from this year.
Right. And then we have what's his name up there too, right? Jay O'Brien. Like I'm definitely
he's at Boston.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm excited because I get to I'm gonna try and I said this to my wife. I'm like, I'm gonna have to scout these kids. She's like, you're not a scout. Shut up. I'm like, but I'm excited.
Way of saying watching it. Jesus.
Yeah, right.
Like get on board.
Yeah, never on board. But I did watch some video of Cutter Gauthier. I was excited. He's got a hell of a shot. He's got great eyes, great awareness. He seems like a good defensive person as well. Like he's not the defensive center that we've been preaching with the Couturiers, the Hayes, that all of those, but he still has the track of where the player's going to go and how to defend it. So I'm excited.
It's on his mind still.
Yeah, exactly. But he can still go down and he's versatile. He's got a hell of a shot and he's got great eyes and makes great passes from what I've seen from just some small
play
video.
Wing. He can play center. Like I know mainly he's a winger, but like apparently he's a pretty damn good center too. So like that versatility right there, I'm happy with. But the fact that we can get a guy that, I mean, they're already saying that he could be better than a Joel Farabee, which I'm ecstatic. I'm ecstatic about that.
Right.
Especially if he's going to play center, because like I feel like in the next year or two, like we're all be hurting for somebody to just slot in in the middle.
We're already hurting for somebody.
I know.
We're borderline.
We're trying to figure that out. We're trying to figure it out.
I think the question with Cutter is, can he play center at the NHL level? I mean, that's what the Flyers want him to do. That's what his intention is at Boston College. I think they see him as a center, but there's still a question of whether or not that will actually be his position in the NHL. And scouts seem to be up in the air about it yet. Yeah.
Sure. But again, I think that the draft played out in a way that it made me honestly really happy that, Gauthier was the pick. Like, again, I have no reason to have these, but like I had my reservations about a Shane Wright pick. It is what it is, whatever. I'm just probably stupid. But like I had my reservations from seeing him slide from a unanimous, number 1 selection all the way to 4. I was like, there's something about this that, isn't being discussed.
Right.
I mean, what was it unanimous? Because like towards the end,
the
weeks leading up, like he was starting to fall already. Mm-hmm. And like I'm kind of glad we didn't have a Nolan Patrick Heischer scenario where like teams were they forced their hand. I wanted chaos from the get-go, and Montreal just gave it to us, and I was excited. And then I think it was right before Seattle was about to pick. They announced the trades.
I thought for sure Montreal.
I thought Chuck did it. I thought Chuck made the trade to get right. And that wasn't the case, and I was a little upset. But
I thought Montreal traded because that's who they ended up saying it involves the Habs. I thought they ended up trading to get right and be like, boom, we just got both of them.
Oh my God,
that would have been insane.
That would have been unreal. Kudos to him if that would have happened. Good Lord.
I think too. I was listening to something. I can't remember what it was on, but they were saying how prospects with exceptional status. So Shane Wright was able to go to the OHL at 15 instead of 16 because he was that good. That scouts are super critical about them, and it's almost harder to kind of like live up to that expectation, which also makes you slide down the draft board a little bit. But recency bias also plays a part in it too, right? Like Shane Wright missed a year of development. Slafkovsky played, well towards the end of like the hockey season. So I think that he was kind of standing out while Shane Wright wasn't. But if we could go back to the Flyers picks, I did start to kind of just do a little bit of digging on some of the other guys, and like I was going a little bit deeper into the draft picks, and there's two names towards the end that kind of intrigued me, and the first one was Hunter McDonald, the only defenseman that we took, and again, this guy's like 9 feet tall. He
Another
already
defenseman whose last name's McDonald.
Yeah, I know, but it's not Mac.
Non-flashbacks.
It's not a Mac.
All right,
but
I'll allow it.
He's somebody where I think he's already 20, so I think that he wasn't drafted last year, but big bodied, and his ceiling is third pairing, right? Like he's not an offensively gifted guy. It's all about physicality and defense with this guy. So it's like, to me, players like that almost have a better chance of making it,
right?
Because they know their role. They're not being
Right.
asked to play above it. They're not being, moved around. I agree with that.
And wouldn't it be nice to get somebody like that on an entry-level deal, right? Where it's like, okay, you're young, we own you, third pair, here you go. This is, your
Do
role,
your thing.
do your thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
So he's somebody who stood out as like, I would not be shocked if he makes the NHL simply because he's got the right build.
Right.
And his skill set just makes sense on a third pair, and it ain't going to change.
Yep. Yep.
You don't
want to necessarily call it like the safe pick, but like he's been essentially pigeonholed to that role. And if he excels at it now, no reason to believe he might not be able to excel at it at the NHL level.
For sure. I mean, and again, 6th round pick might end up just getting completely blown up in the college ranks.
Right.
But you'd like to think that that's a little bit more translatable.
Yeah, absolutely.
The really intriguing pick here is all the way in the 7th round, though. The last guy they took, Alexis Gendron. He's in the QMJHL. He put up, I think it was like 50 points last year on a really bad team. But he has some offensive flash. Like his open ice playmaking is pretty darn good. Where it's like if he was put with a decent enough team, decent enough line mates, like you could see those numbers kind of excel. Is he going to make the NHL? Most likely not. But I do think he could be one of those guys where it's like next season, it's like the Elliot Denoyer explosion where we're like, oh my God, what a steal, where we might get that kind of excitement just because he seems to have that kind of offensive side.
I can't live through that again. I can't live through the excitement that surrounded him and the people saying, oh my God, we have another Wayne Gretzky. Like, I can't do that.
To be fair, he was a
happened to
He's going to, I mean, he played really well last year. He's going to be in the AHL this year.
Oh boy.
We'll see what he's got. I
Yeah.
mean, hey, another bottom 6 option. Or,
essentially
he becomes the other winger on the side of Couturier and, blows us all away again. I don't know.
Yeah,
Can't wait, though. Can't wait.
Right.
Overall, solid draft for me. I mean, the Gauthier pick obviously is going to stick out above the rest. Like,
Yeah.
I'm
As it
happy
has
with it.
to.
Yeah. Like, I'm happy about it. My dad's being a jerk, knocking on the window. But this is vacation, folks. But I don't know what else to say. I'm not a draft guy, but I was excited when Gauthier fell into our laps, and I was like, yeah, great, let's effing do it.
Yep. I'm also excited that Chuck Fletcher did the Chuck Fletcher thing in drafting a Santeri Sulku with the alliteration.
Alliteration.
Yeah, like that.
And he hit Minnesota too with bump.
The Chuck
Of
Fletcher
course he
bingo
did.
card. We got a
Yep.
blackout on the bingo card.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think
Good
too,
point.
Derek, you kind of hit the nail on the head with it. Just Gauthier, that's all that matters. If the Flyers hit on Gauthier, none of the rest of them matter.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, I stand by what I say. Then that brings us to the next step in the process here for the offseason, which is free agency. It's a crapshoot at this point. I don't know. I don't like. To technically right now we have no cap room.
Right.
We've got plenty of holes filled.
Sure.
No ways to clear the cap room that we need. It sounds like, at least. So what the hell's the plan?
We have no plan.
They must, to me, right? Like they must have some sort of confidence that they're going to be able to move JVR.
They better hope.
Because I don't think you can bring in DeAngelo, even with this plan of putting Ellis on long-term injury reserve. I don't think you can sign him to $5 million if you weren't pretty confident you could move to clear more money.
Mm-hmm.
Because we put JVR on waivers.
Can we break his legs and put him on LTIR?
I mean, not now, because now it's public knowledge that we're going to break his legs. But if he slipped and fell, no, I'm kidding. Right. I don't even want to joke about that.
No, yeah. But like the fact that we're still hearing the Flyers tied to Johnny Gaudreau, and like this idea of possibly trading for his rights, like to me, there has to be something in place where we're clearing cap.
Yeah, it has to happen.
And I think we'll find out tomorrow, to be honest with you.
What's the benefit of you? Well, that's a dumb question. I get the benefit of trading for his rights, but like the main thing to me, if you're trading for someone's rights, is that you can lock them up to an 8-year deal.
Yep.
That puts him at 37 when that deal expires. I have no interest in a 37-year-old Johnny Gaudreau, and maybe that's me jumping the gun here, but it's just that extra year doesn't make much of a difference to me.
Well, your thought process would be if you players typically want the term, right? They want to know. So could you then sign him for less than if you had to sign him for 7 years?
But how much less? Like, are we
sure?
talking...
But less is less when you're up against the cap.
Less is more, baby.
There you go, buddy.
There, Hoagie, did you correct John on that?
No, I meant to say less is less.
You said less is less, but the correct term is less is more.
Yeah, but I wasn't looking for that term. I was just saying that less is.
Well, I gave you the term.
Well, thanks. You choke.
I'm gonna sign with Hoagie. I'm gonna side with Hoagie on this, John.
You're just doing it because like you're like the guy who feels bad for the last pick and kickball. I get it. You're a nice fellow.
I was always just so good that I could make up for the lack of production on that end. So you know, whatever.
Hoagie, what do you think, buddy, about it all?
No, there's got to be deals in place, and I mean, I feel I wasn't Chuck who said it that things are going to get interesting closer to free agency. So I'm not putting all my eggs in one basket, thinking we're getting a Johnny Gaudreau, but I think people are going to be moved. There's going to be some cap shed somehow, some way, and we're going to bring in somebody.
Let's hope.
We need more than one somebody.
We need somebody's.
But I really don't think they're going to make a big splash as everybody's expecting.
No.
Like, it's just it's not in the cards. Everybody keeps saying just wait till next offseason. Just wait. And
how long? Which offseason is that? Because that was said last offseason, the offseason before.
Exactly.
But you would argue that they made a splash last year, though. I mean. Like,
right.
Sure. In terms of trades, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. They really did in terms of trades, they really did make that splash. I mean, this offseason, I'm just gonna just sit back and just watch it all unfold because
think about like the ticker we've got. Burakovsky, Kopp, Domi, Gaudreau, I'm not even gonna say his name. Kadri.
Run it back, baby.
Shut up. There's names out there that you could probably get maybe two of them for the cost of one Johnny Gaudreau. Is that more appealing than going out and getting Gaudreau, or are you sold on wanting a superstar like Johnny Gaudreau?
Who are you asking?
Open floor, whoever wants it. Which
Hoagie start.
I guess John.
No, I'm gonna pass it to Hoagie first.
I mean, I'm not opposed to getting two for the price of one, but I mean, you can get a Johnny Hockey for I want a Johnny Hockey solely to make this team fun again. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We need somebody to make this team fun again and put butts in seats and see some pretty goals. If we can get two quality guys that help fill the roster for the next year or so, so that we can make a big off-season splash next year, I'm okay with that too.
Sure. John?
I really go back and forth with this. It's like every day I read something, my mind changes.
Right.
It's like I want enough money to be able to get somebody to solidify the third pair on D, which you would assume could be done at a quite reasonable price, right?
Sure.
If you could do that and still go get Johnny Hockey, be my guest. At the same time, if you could go and get a competent center,
What is that?
I would like to use that money towards the center position and shoring up our D core instead of making that splash. With that being said, if you can get Johnny Hockey and still have a little bit of room to make another small move, I can't really argue against it.
Right.
True. It is true.
Derek,
I mean,
what do you think, my friend?
I think Gaudreau's obviously the flashy name. Like, everybody's been talking about him for God knows how long. He's Philly boy, South Jersey guy, and it's the sexy name that's out there.
Yep.
But do we want to go
Ties to
sexy
DeAngelo?
name? Yeah, sure. Him, Hayes, both.
Farabee, yep.
Farabee, yeah. Like, but is that what we want, or do we want the big puzzle piece, or do we want the ones that fit the mold that we need? I guess I don't know if that even works, but let's be honest.
Stepping in.
Yeah, like I just feel like there might be more value in going out and getting people that are going to plug holes that we need. Third pairing, second line, maybe third line center if we can count on Hayes to play 2C. Like, those types of moves are what I'm more interested in. But at the end of the day, like, if they come out and say we got Johnny Gaudreau for $8.75 million, cool. I'm happy.
Yeah.
Like, that's great.
That ain't gonna happen. I think he's turning down 9 in Calgary.
Sure.
Yeah.
But again, that could be something. I don't know what the term is.
Sure.
In that Calgary deal. If it's like a 5-year deal, like
Right.
maybe we give him 6 or 7 and he's like, yeah, I'll take a couple mil, like a mil less, not a couple mil, obviously. I'll take a little bit less. Like, I don't know. I can't speak to the negotiations, but I don't know. I just kind of side with going out and getting the guys that are going to be, I guess, for lack of a better term, more like cost effective, if you will.
Right.
Yep.
Honestly, all I really want is to walk away from whatever Chuck does in free agency, whether it's signing a free agent or trading for somebody else, and just going, okay, I have an idea of the direction this team is going.
Yep.
Exactly.
I think he's showed his hand a little bit with the DeAngelo acquisition, where it's like, okay, you wouldn't go out and get him if we were rebuilding.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? But it's like, I just want to see a plan kind of in place and be able to kind of put my finger on what this team is doing when this is all said and done.
Right.
Yeah.
I think, and I think we kind of saw that as well after the whole DeBrincat trade as well. Like, we could have given up those types of assets for DeBrincat. But he didn't want to, because he would rather fill the role for defense with the Tony DeAngelo. Even like the Kirby Doc, that was a surprising trade as well. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
Like there was options there, and he's kind of sticking to his timeline and his plan.
But
now
it's also
Chicago's not going to extend qualifying offers to, who is it, Strome and Kubalik?
Yeah.
I saw
like that,
earlier
yeah.
today. Like, more options.
Sure,
Kubalik's not a terrible one. You're
Strome
not
isn't
paying
either.
him $8 million a year,
Can
but
Strome play center?
Strome
I
is
think
a center.
Strome is a center.
There he is. So block him up.
Both of
Right.
them, just tandem deal.
Yeah.
Are we taking all this? Are we taking all the Stromes? There's Ryan in New York that's a free agent, and which one's in
Dylan.
Chicago?
Dylan
Strome in Chicago, and then we'll just have Matthew in the AHL.
Ooh,
Perfect.
Selling point. We've got your younger brother.
We've got your brother.
Ransom notes.
Right. The
Little
brother's strong.
Newspaper and magazine clippings. Like, we have your brother.
Right. What I do like, at least this time, which he didn't do last offseason, was I think Chuck Fletcher now realizes first round picks have to be off. Like, we can't talk about trading first round picks. Like, even though we want this team to do better next year, we need to understand that we also have to make sure we have a safety net in the future.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, given the state of the team, yeah.
Right.
God, it's going to end up being another, not Calgary, Ottawa, Colorado situation. you end up trading the first round pick and it's like top 5 pick.
Right.
Don't want that, obviously. But I mean, anything else you want to discuss in terms of free agency?
I just hope that we get some clarity of like what the Flyers can do before free agency. Like I'd love tomorrow to get something that says we've traded away JVR, you know, or even if it's like Oscar Lindblom and cleared up a little bit of money. So I have like a better idea of what this team could do once free agency starts.
Right.
Clock's ticking.
Yep.
We're getting there.
The Monday after the draft weekend is notorious for moves.
Yeah. Yep.
I will have my phone glued to my hand probably.
Yeah.
So
Tell you what, I can't wait for Wednesday. Free agency is just always so much fun to me, and I'm so happy that I have off this week because I'm just going to be constantly refreshing. And it's, I told my wife, I was like, yeah, we're not doing anything that day. Yeah.
Wednesday's going to be like the only nice day down here at the beach, and I'm like, crap. Like,
yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the same for us. Yeah, it's
we're like, all right, it's getting really hot.
Mass.
Like, I'm running into the ocean. I'm going to run in, run back out. Phone, like, what happened? Like, what did I miss? But no, yeah. I mean, that's a lot of what we covered this week. Obviously, with the draft, the trades, free agency upcoming, we'll have a ton more, I'm sure, to talk about next week. Hopefully. Hopefully, But until then, Hoagie, can you let the fine folks listening know where they can find you?
Well, I got a dad joke for him first.
Shit, I was hoping we could avoid that. No. All right, hit us with your dad joke here.
Why is Billy Joel's laundry still wet?
I don't know.
Because he didn't start the dryer.
All right, that was funny.
You're doing a good job with these lately. Aside from the one you made up on your own,
the one
terrible.
Went rogue.
I thought it was great. Screw you
completely
guys.
off track. I was like, "What are you doing, Hoagie? Stick to the script."
Right, look them up.
Listen,
Don't reinvent.
It was funny when I was drunk watching the Stanley Cup Finals, and I was the only one that laughed.
Funny when I'm drunk. No, that was good. That was good. We'll give you that. Claps.
Thank you.
But again, when I originally pitched to you here,
on the Twitter app thing, you can find me at Pod Street Hoax. Hey, you know what? I saw on Twitter someone actually tweeted, and it came up as like from Twitter web app. So it's a thing. It's a thing.
Okay.
Twitter web app.
Yep.
So the Twitter app.
Yeah.
Be smart. Be smart, Hoagie.
Do better.
Be sweet. Be sweet.
Do better.
Brand guy.
All right, John.
I thought Hoagie put them down on the bottom ticker so I didn't have to do this thing.
Oh, you have a Twitter again, so let's
No, don't follow me on Twitter.
Just follow John on Twitter.
Don't follow me.
Is it still
on Twitter.
Pod Street Gove?
Don't worry about it.
It is Pod Street Grove.
No.
Soothing voices.
Welcome back,
Pod Street
brother.
Boys. You'll find them.
No, don't follow me on Twitter. You don't want to do that.
It's just a bunch of right-wing conspiracy stuff.
Yeah,
you don't want that.
Me and Tony DeAngelo going back and forth. Yeah.
And a New York Ranger fan, and then a series of numbers. Tony D's burner. All right. Well, that's it for us then. You can find me on Twitter at Pod Street Bob. John, again, at Pod Street Gove. I was getting to that. If you would shut the hell up. You can check out our affiliates over at Flyers High and Wide. They're on Twitter at FlyersHW. You can check out the 5 Minute Major podcast, David Mastro. They're on Twitter at 5 Min Major Pod as well. Check out their podcast weekly. Otherwise, folks, I'm going to split. I'm going to go enjoy the rest of my week on the beach. And see you later.
Bye now.
Bye now.
Shut up, Hoagie.